Now,
Oh man, we can't go past.
yes, and then Albert and Rodlek.
My God, so good to see Albert back in the ring up here, huh?
Wanted Albert on the card. I mean, who doesn't want Albert on their card?
When we were talking about Jaden being unpredictable, Luke Frazier, Albert is the master of not knowing what the fuck he's about to do and doesn't give a fuck. He has the complete embodiment of being present in the moment and doing the thing.
Yeah.
There is nothing else.
You know what's funny too? I think I mean, I'm making a judgment call here, but it feels like he lives that way a little bit.
True.
Like in the media day when we interviewed him, talking to him, it just seems like he's just in the moment. Like he's living life. He is who he is. He's the character he is. There's no facade. There's no performance. There's no like, I've got to be this person or this, I'm trying to be this, like play this role.
Yeah.
He just is who he is. And I think that's why people gravitate towards him, is that's a lovely, nice human and just kind of has this feel of like floating through life.
Yeah.
And then he fights a little bit that way.
Yeah.
It's like he just kind of, he does this float through the fight and it just happens and the things just happen.
When Bruce Lee, everyone quotes this "be like water" or whatever. When Bruce Lee is talking about that, the concept is that water embodies whatever shape it's around and it just fills the space. It just does the thing. It can be in any form, in any shape, anytime, and it's constantly fluid. It's constantly moving, constantly changing. From the day dot when we started watching Albert when he was 16, coming up, what was that? 16. He was 16 fights undefeated in a row, and then he fought Damon
Nelson. Yeah.
Damon Nelson, and got knocked out. And it was like, I feel like that was one of the hardest fights for me to watch yet, because I'd always seen Albert as this just like freak of nature. Like he was unbeatable, unstoppable, untouchable. And this concept like that, he's like a ghost. You know what I mean? Being like water. He's like, you go to punch him, you're punching smoke. It's not there.
Yeah.
And he did it to everybody. And it was like he was so in himself. And then to see that, like, to see him fall. And I just saw his face like a baby face. He was a kid still.
Yeah, super
and
young.
Just see this baby face asleep on the canvas. And I just was like, oh my God, he's a human person.
Yeah.
He is like, he's a freak, but he is a human person. And then he took some time off. He had a baby. And when we asked him about it on that media day, he was like, I can kind of understand it. It's like, I was unstoppable and everyone had the expectation that I was unstoppable. So I had to be unstoppable. So all of a sudden I was just doing my thing. I was just being me and having good results or whatever. But then everybody else expected that that's what I do. And then I had to keep winning. I had to keep being this, and I was fighting for other people, and I didn't want to do it, but then I just had to keep doing it. And then everybody else, and it's like, it's poison. You can't poison, you can't contain water. You can't hold it. You can't like make it be a something. You just got to just let it be its thing.
Yeah.
And for such a young age, for him to realize that that's what was going on with him, take a step back, acknowledge it instead of getting caught up in the fanfare. Like so easy to just get in your ego because you're a freak like that. You're a superstar. I mean, he's a natural superstar, and it could have been so easy for him to get caught in his head, and he didn't. He stepped away. He had the awareness to do that, fixed it, found who he is. And like you said, he just got back into being that thing that he is.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just see like he's just, I won't even say he's back. I'd say he's better than he ever was.
Yeah, he's definitely getting better. And he looks more like an athlete now. Like then he used to look like a fighter that cut weight and got in shape for the fight. And then you'd see him outside of camp and he didn't look like he was in shape. Whereas like he's consistently looked like he's healthier and looking after himself and like learning, like with time, with being a parent, with all these things come wisdom, right? He's obviously surrounded by a good team now. Like he's whatever has happened for him in the last like little period of him being actively fighting is working. Like it's he's just got all that like freak of nature talent, and now it's coming together with age and wisdom and maturity and the right environment. And like when we wanted to book this fight, when it came up to be able to book Kim versus Rodlek. I was like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
and there was talks of,
Man, just when you sent me that,
we were in talks
Like-
at the same time with like him potentially fighting Niall, who was the current international champ as well. So obviously like the idea of him fighting for WBC international title was a big goal of Albert. So I was like, that was, you know, we were back and forward about that as well. Turned out it all kind of fell into place the way it should have, because Niall ended up getting a world title opportunity. He's since won that world title, so great for him. It was good that we didn't go ahead with that fight. It was good that that played out the way it did, because he's now the world champion. And in all of that, it ended up like the fight that to be was Albert versus Rodlek. And fuck, like my only stress leading into that was like, we don't know the Rodlek that we're going to get. He had some time off.
yeah,
He'd previously been on one championship. Everyone knows who Rodlek is. But you don't know. Is he now a pad holder and he's not training? Is he going to take it seriously? Is he training hard for Albert because Albert's a threat? Is he treating it like a threat? Is he going to show up? Like, who? We don't know. Like, that was the element of surprise. And
man, he
we
showed up.
fucking got Rodlek. Like,
We got everything we could have hoped for from Rodlek, man.
fucking fight. And, I mean, I don't think we're probably talking to anyone that hasn't watched that fight. So, like, it's just...
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, it's
Fight
up
of
on
the
our
year.
YouTube. There's highlights are on YouTube if you don't have the time to watch the full fight. But do yourself a favor and watch the whole thing, because
unquestionable, like, fight of the year. Absolutely no doubt.
it was so wild, man. Like, I remember you and me were sitting across from each other, across on like the ring underneath the ropes. I was looking across at you and Benji periodically in that fight, and I literally, like, at some point I thought someone was gonna die. Like, it was so hectic. The amount of like power and pressure and but also technical expertise, fight IQ, intelligence in the ring, like
spinning and jumping and wild
spinning
shit.
and jumping,
Like entertainment.
Man, the way Albert moves has always fascinated me, because he is like a panther. You know what I mean? Like, he's like an animal that is completely locked into his body. There's not like a separation the way normal humans are. There's like this intellectual brain that's like, I should move my hand, and then your hand moves. But like with him, that's not there. He just goes and does. But then with Rodlek, he is like power embodied.
Yeah.
He's just like thick and sits down and drives forward with his punches. But he also knew exactly where he wanted to be whenever he wanted to be there. He wasn't letting Albert out of his sight. He wasn't shaken by any of the weird shit he was throwing.
Yeah, he has that experience, right? To stand there and be like, I'm not letting this intimidate me.
Yeah.
Like, cool, try all your jumping shit. I'll just smile in
Yeah,
your
throw
face.
a jumping knee at me, land it right on my chin. I
Yeah.
will smile in your face, and I will punch you in the face.
Yeah. And then,
was
and
sick.
obviously, like, Rodlek dropping Albert early in the fight out of the whole, it's like, oh, he was good. He jumped straight back up and came back from it. But it was like, is he going to be good? Is this going to set in like concern? And man, like, I've never seen Albert keep his hands up, but all of a sudden he had his fucking hands glued to his face, which was good to see, because it's always a bit stressful that he doesn't have his hands up.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, just delivered round after round. That fight just delivered. And to fit in with the theme of today, this is like a good topic to talk about, because this kind of encapsulates that it takes two to tango. Like, this fight is fight of the year, unquestionable. It was a fight that everyone was talking about. That would be for sure solidified in people's memories for a long time. It skyrocketed Albert's career for sure, put him on the map for people that didn't know about him. It brought, its eyes back on Rodlek, of like, Rodlek's back, here we go.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that people don't maybe think about is, like, to make that fight what it was, you needed Rodlek and you needed Albert.
Yes.
Like, that fight doesn't happen the way it happens just because Albert's in it or because Rodlek's in it.